Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy, it's Abezy, and we are back with another video. You guys can tell we are joined by a special guest today. We've got Rex Shady Nero with us because we've got a ton to talk about. Obviously, Zoomaa is retiring. That's the breaking news of today. And yesterday, we recorded a full-on podcast for an hour and a half. And we're going on forever. So much news to talk about. And then today, so much more news drops. So Rex, today, we're here talking about it. How you doing?
Dude, I am feeling like a cowboy with a lasso, ready to round up some cows and get this going, baby.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of cows to wrangle today because obviously we've got to address the Zoomaa situation, the Subliner situation, DIAMONDCON, and there's even more news announced today about the prize pool for this weekend and a sniper GA that we need to at least talk about because there's a lot to go on. So we're going to probably go over how this impacts the Subliners heading into this weekend for our first official Call of Duty of the year. And you guys are seeing some gameplay down below. It's a nice chill little gameplay talking little podcast 2.0 short segment today. So let's get right into it. So obviously, if you guys have not seen the news, Zoomaa officially announced his retirement, or at least his stepping away for the foreseeable future from competitive Call of Duty. It really, really sucks. Apparently it's the situation with his thumb and wrist, and re-aggravating some sort of injury that he had with his thumb and wrist from the past, and it's been really affecting his play and how he plays. And unfortunately, he decided that it's just best for him and the team to retire for now from COD. And I mean, Zoomaa's been a legend in the competitive scene, and it sucks to see, man. But obviously, there's a lot of questions that come up about how this affects, you know, Zoomaa, what he's gonna be doing the rest of his career, and the Subliners. So I mean, Rex, what are your thoughts, dude?
Oh, man, so many things. Yeah, you know, rest in peace to a legend, Zoomaa. Maybe there's potential he comes back in later years, like once he gets that itch again, like we saw with John, with whatever he's going through. Maybe, I don't know. I will say it kind of felt like Zoomaa was getting distant from COD recently, and it felt like this, I mean, not that he doesn't have this injury or anything, like, I'm not saying that.
I mean, you had mentioned some of these things on the podcast that you're getting some weird vibes from Zoomaa recently. Like, you kind of nailed that one.
I did have weird vibes. Like, he just felt like, yeah, he was there. He would show up for work, but, like, I just don't know if his heart was in it. And then with this injury that just, like, happens, I feel like maybe he was just, like...
Connects the dots.
You know, he's just kind of like, you know what? This just isn't worth it for me anymore. And maybe that's just what happened. And, you know, to each their own.
Right. I mean, obviously, the first question is, before we talk about the team as a whole, like, what's next for Zoomaa? You know, I mean, obviously, he's got the streaming, maybe the YouTube that he could pick back up. Or, you know, I could see him being an analyst on the desk. I mean, I think he has the great persona for it, and the personality and the energy.
I think a desk situation would be super cool. I could even see some sort of assistant coaching thing happening with him. Now, we want to say streaming, like, yes, every time he's turning to stream, he gets a few hundred people, even maybe 1,000 at times, watching him.
Right.
But now he has his wrist injury. He goes and plays COD, but, like, he just injured his wrist. That's why he quit. So it'd be weird to start seeing that this early on. So maybe later, YouTube, he could definitely do that, give his, you know, takes and opinions on things. I think it would be super cool. Potential guest for the podcast. Wink, wink.
Shout out Zoomaa. Let's go.
Yeah, he has plenty of options for himself. I think he's a great personality. People love him. And talking about Subliners, I think this is going to be, in a weird way, is going to be reinvigorating for that Subliners squad.
Really?
I do.
I don't know, man.
Go ahead.
Obviously, the situation here is that, you know, Zoomaa goes down and they brought up DIAMONDCON. So maybe first thing we have to talk about is, who is DIAMONDCON? If you are, you know, just joining the competitive COD scene, you may not know who he is. He's had a lot of success recently in basically the last calendar year in 2020 in his career. He kind of got his start at the end of World War II, started working his way up in Black Ops 4, starting to get like top 24s, maybe a top 16 here and there at a LAN. And then in Modern Warfare, he started finding some success in the middle of the year once it went online after COVID. And he really found a groove there in the middle of the year, playing with like TCM and that squad. And at one point, he finally broke through, won Cup 5 with Noisy Fame, TCM, and Katani, and then went on to actually join the Triumph team in July, and then went on to win Amateur Champs with Triumph, obviously with that squad. And now Fellow got picked up by the Empire as well. So 2 of those players are now officially rostered on Pro Team. So pretty crazy. That's kind of been DiamondCon's, come up. He's been an AR in the AM scene. That's something we're going to have to discuss, is the roles with New York. But overall, he's a pretty exciting player. And we've talked about him on the podcast with Shift before, and the potential that DiamondCon has in the league. And I think it's pretty exciting potential, high upside player for the Subliners moving forward.
For sure. Yeah, I Hold Shift was very high on DiamondCon. I think all of us were starting to get really high on DiamondCon, especially near the end of Modern Warfare. He wins champs. So of course you're like, who is this guy? He's an AR. And a good AR can be, there's a lot of good ARs, but when you're really, really good, you want to grab that best AR as fast as you can. And maybe he was. I think he's going to be flexing for the Subliners though, because Clacer with a sub is just, we're not going to see.
You don't want to see.
We're not going to see Clacer with a sub. So DiamondCon will probably flex, play the AR for some maps, play that sub some maps.
Right, no, for sure. It is interesting, it definitely changes the pacing of their team when before you had like 3 inherently fast players in Zoomaa, Mac, and Asim. Now you're rocking DiamondCon, who's inherently a slower player, and S&D is going to completely change how they like to play that. And again, we still don't know the situation with Asim and with HYDRA and how that's going to play. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, moving into this weekend as well. But yeah, DiamondCon, like we said, probably flexing, which means it's going to be, Clay as main AR, DiamondCon flexing, and then you've got Asim and Mac currently running the main SMGs for that squad. It's interesting because, Mac before was the one that was doing some flexing for that team, and now he's going to be back on that main SMG for what he was playing at the beginning of his career in the Pro League last year in Modern Warfare.
I think that's for the better, honestly. I think Mac...
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the thing with Subliners, from what I've seen this year, is like they were struggling with just role issues and just like how their team chemistry was working out. And to lose Zoomaa is like, that's a loss for sure. But when you bring in someone else, and now you also have Clacer now has pretty much full reign of this whole team, and that's for the most part. We see Clacer succeed.
Right
and then you have DiamondCon, who is a hungry amateur player. Mac, who's super young and was stellar last year. And then you're going to have Asim, who all he wants to do is just play OBJ and get the wins. That's Asim's whole thing.
Yeah. Push the pace.
Exactly. So it's starting to be a recipe for success for Subliners. I think there's going to be a slow start for them. I mean, in kickoff, you can't imagine they're going to do anything to Empire now, especially with a new team literally like a week before, So don't expect much there, but I think going later on, if they can really start melding together, this team could be kind of nasty.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the question is, what's going to happen with Asim and HYDRA moving forward? We don't really know. At this point, all we know is that Asim, at least according to CDL Intel, is playing this weekend, not HYDRA. So we talked about it on the podcast. We thought maybe HYDRA was the one playing because Asim hasn't officially been announced yet as a player for New York, even though he's been scrimming with them for weeks and weeks at this point. And I don't know. I mean, like we said, like Rex said, we don't expect there to be too much action when it comes to New York Subliners and how they're competing against Dallas. But it's a pretty dang good practice opportunity for this team early on, and they're going to need as much time as they can get heading into these first few weeks playing as a squad right now. Clay's got to be feeling the pressure now.
Oh, for sure. And then, so Asim, HYDRA, you have that potential there. When HYDRA finally makes it over here, is he going to be like that king of France, like amazing player that everyone's been talking him up to be? Maybe. And then that's even more of like, this Subliner squad could completely surprise people. And right now, with Zoomaa gone, it's really a question mark team for me at this. I had them lower, but with this, who knows? Like, this might be exactly what they needed to just have their ceiling just go that much higher.
Well, I know you were like kind of like pretty lukewarm on Zoomaa heading into this year. I know you weren't like high on Zoomaa.
I wasn't high on Zoomaa, and I think it was just from what I saw, his heart. And, I'm just speculating. It just did not seem like it was there like we've seen in the past, like we've seen these other like really hungry players. He did show up for work. He did his job, but that's sort of it. Whereas you need these young guys who have thirst and hunger like Illy, like he's on all the
Could you
time,
imagine?
finding all these weird things. You need that sort of guy that can just bring that energy every single time.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if this team dominates? Like, could you imagine if they, by the end of the year, are just rolling top 3? That would be insane. That would be insane.
Yes.
And, I mean, at this point, it's like, Asim, I really think he's a good player. I've seen you hear the comparisons all the time of him like a Walmart Abezy, basically. This is always a comparison you see on Reddit. But at the same time, it's like, I think there's still some untapped potential there with him. But the question is, if HYDRA can get to United States, if he just legitimately is that good, it's like, that's hard to deny. So that's my question mark moving forward, is like, that's what you got to watch there, is the dynamic between Asim and HYDRA and what happens there. But it might be a few more months before HYDRA could get to the United States, so who knows? That's the biggest question for New York moving forward. What do you hope to see from New York this weekend, and then moving into like the first home series of the year in Atlanta?
I mean, I just really want to see how DiamondCon competes with we're seeing them against the best team in the game right now, so like this is really going to be telling of how much can they keep up. Like, I still think they'll get 3-0'd, but how close are those games going to be? How are the players going to look in their gunfights? And just how like organized is the team in the short amount of time?
Very true.
Just the movement in general, how they're shooting, how they're playing is really what I'm curious about with this team, especially DiamondCon.
If you had to bet, does this team stick together? Let's just say all 5 of these players, including HYDRA, is this the team that we see in July heading into COD Champs in August?
I mean, it comes down to 2 players, DiamondCon and HYDRA. How good are they going to be? If they're not that good, I think Subliners are a team with a lot of money, and I think they'll be willing to kind of drop whoever is not matching to par, especially DiamondCon, because he just joined. He was a quick replacement for Zoomaa. He could easily be left in the dust again if it doesn't work out, and he'll probably be the first to go.
Could we see John?
Everyone wants John to play again, and I want to see John play again. He's going to have to play at least one Challengers tournament, I feel like. He's going to have to find one Challengers team and play through that, because he only played like the very, very beginning of Modern Warfare and was quickly out to do whatever he was doing.
I don't think it's very likely. I mean, because again, that would just get you put that back in the same situation where Zoomaa is the SMG, so John's the SMG. Now Max flexing again. I see them more likely picking up a natural flex that what they would hope to be a Cellium 2.0. It's what they'd really love. That's their ideal situation. That's what they want.
Right, for sure. And plus, Mac is just not that flex. Mac just can't be that. DiamondCon's known to be like an AR in the AM scene. I don't know how much he flexes, but COD, a lot of these players are pretty well-rounded in everything. Maybe DiamondCon can be that guy who can flex also, and it's really exciting. It's just huge question marks, but so exciting.
Yeah, that's the thing. So the last aspect of this video I want to at least hit on for at least a little bit here was the sniper smoke GA that they announced today that we're going to be seeing this weekend. Like we talked about in the podcast. If you haven't go watch it, I highly recommend it. Side note, we're doing the giveaway for the CDL merch. Go check that out. Pin tweet best of 3 pod. Check out the pin tweet there on our Twitter, and you can enter the giveaway. But basically, we're going to be seeing a whole new S&D this weekend with the pros. No snipers, no smokes. And I mean, my initial reaction is like, that really sucks. It just sucks because the smokes are just broken right now, where since you're playing on PC, you've got the low settings, and the one-way smokes are a legitimate problem where if you're inside the smoke, you can see out of them. Sometimes when you can look into the smoke and the person inside the smoke can't see, and like there's just a lot of problems because of the settings on PCs and things like that. And so until Treyarch patches it, if you GA smokes, you have to GA snipers, because otherwise, because of how good the snipers are in this game, it makes them so OP without smokes on the map. And so I understand it, but like, man, it really does suck. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, taking snipers out of S&D, that was like, when you watch S&D, I'm always curious. I always want to go on the sniper. You always want to see the snipers play, and the fact they're just taking that out is like,
that sucks.
For a spectator's perspective, that just sucks. That's all that is. Like that whole hype that a sniper battle 1v1, Simp, Dashy, Simp, Illy, we're not gonna see that anymore. We're just gonna see them running around with SMGs.
And, I mean, a big part of the community loves S&D because of sniping and the excitement of sniping. And so in the long term, I think if you're the CDL, if you're Treyarch, specifically if you're the CDL, you are doing whatever it takes to get snipers back in the rule set. And if that's patching the smokes, if that's removing flinch, or if that's adding flinch back onto snipers and asking Treyarch to do those types of things, it's gonna be something along those lines if you want to make it happen. And that's just really unfortunate. So the other aspect here was that Glowfrosty moved to the Subliners Academy because DiamondCon got pulled up. So that was another aspect of it. And then we'll be talking a lot more about this type of stuff on the podcast next week. But because this news came out basically the day we were releasing the podcast, we thought it'd be good to record and talk about it because it's gonna be so long before we get to the next podcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Shout out Shady Nero Rex for joining us and making this happen. If you guys enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you guys really enjoy it. Drop all your comments down below. But as always, guys, I'm Josh. Obviously, to my right is Shady Nero Rex. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.